and even an opera house. Then, when the silver ran out, the town went bust and the desert reclaimed the streets. The metal that drove men mad is bad for you too. When your roots reach out in search of water and nutrients, they absorb dissolved silver. But you've learned how to deal with this poison by filtering out the silver molecules and depositing them inside your cells. When your cells get older and die, resin surrounds them, sealing the toxic contents forever within your trunk. The problem for you, Methuselah, isn't silver, but water. You live in one of the driest places on Earth. You can only quench your thirst during the 6 weeks of the year when the winter snow melts around your roots. You've adapted well to your limited supply. Why waste energy on frivolous growth when one set of needles can last 40 years? The design of your needles minimizes water loss. Specially recessed pores ensure that no precious moisture is lost. The pores remain shut most of the time, unlike those of other trees, which use and lose gallons a day. In the desert, every drop of water counts, except, it seems, in Las Vegas.
Water, water everywhere and not a drop. To think that down there, battery trees, like plumped-up turkeys, stand proud and vain, bloated and unaware that they are but a switch's throw away from death. Water, water, not forever. For 24 hours a day, fountains play, spraying graffiti that mocks a desert kept at bay.
How profligate we must seem to you when a golf course consumes 1 million gallons a day, whereas you can get by on 100 gallons a year.
Check cashing needs, the money market is here to change to assistance. Whether you have a personal check, your party, government, cashier's check, or payroll check.
In Las Vegas, humans regard the conspicuous display of water as a sign of luxury. One hotel has 200-foot-high fountains. There's even a fake Lake Como. Las Vegans use a staggering 300 gallons per person per day. Las Vegas is booming. It's the fastest growing city in America. Each year, 60,000 people move here, and 15,000 new houses are built. Street maps are out of date, even before they're printed. What you see before you is a display of human power over nature.
But nature has a way of saying enough. After the pride, there comes the fall. After the boom, the bust. Remember, man, that thou art dust, and unto dust. "60 miles from Las Vegas was a town specifically designed to boom and bust.
They called it Doomtown. So, Methuselah, you survived the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, even the Machine Age. But how did you fare in the Nuclear Age? We were on the brink of the apocalypse, the culmination of half a century of human tinkering with the nature of matter. (1957) was a strange year. Whilst Edmund Schulman and his colleagues were collecting data from the bristle cones around you, 100 miles away, the atom bomb was being tested in the desert below.
These bomb tests would come off early in the morning, and a number of people would walk up to a height where we could see the flash of the bomb. And when I look back on it now, it was remarkable how we were just sort of almost oblivious to the to anything like radioactive fallout. It was a big event, and there was a shock. I mean, we'd see the glow, and the earth would shake. I mean, it was like a definite boom. It was something almost of a lark then to just see this. I mean, just this manifestation of what the human being could do. It was a scientific achievement.
A 130 miles east of this achievement was a Mormon town called St. George. It lay directly downwind of the bomb. Agatha Mannering was in her garden and was given no warning of what was to come. She became a human guinea pig.
When that went off, I was lifted off the ground. It just came and hit me up through my feet. And I could see this gray cloud rolling in, just rolling in. And I just stood there and watched it. If I'd had any sense, I would have run and hid in the closet or something. But this cloud just rolled in there, and I stood there and I smelled it. It had a horrible, nasty smell. I began to feel bad, and my throat began to burn, my sinuses began to burn, and my head became prickly, like ants was stinging the top of my head. But now I always would bathe, but this night I felt too bad to. That's the first time I can remember of feeling so bad I didn't want to even bother bathing, and that's the one time in my life I needed to. And I've had a pile of cancers over my face and body. Now, I'm a genealogist, and I know what my forefathers died from way back, and none of them ever had cancer. But all of this generation has had cancer. You know, so many of the people died. There was 1 or 2 blocks in St. George that there wasn't a house on that block but what someone died of cancer.
You were lucky to be upwind of the test site. That's how you escaped so lightly, with only a trace of strontium-90 in your rings. But for scientists like Edmund Schulman, the 1950s remained a golden age of innocence and aspiration. He spent 3 glorious summers in bristlecone country, coring 1,000 trees. His aim was to construct a complete weather record of Western America. He was your greatest fan, and never ceased to marvel at your triumph over adversity. Struggling with a failing heart in the thin air of the mountains, he came to wonder, almost fancifully, if trees like you held the secret of living forever.
He was facing his own mortality, and obviously had difficulty with breathing and all, and this is why I was working with him. And so one surprising bit of conversation, which came up several times in the several weeks that I was with him, is that he would say that somehow he would hope that he used the term elixir, that some substance could be distilled from these old trees that the human being could somehow absorb, and then would be a factor in longevity in the human beings, that the tree could impart its adaptation to adversity to the human being. It seemed to me out of place with the rest of his work. Here he was, the very careful scientific method of this extreme care in counting rings, analyzing everything that he said here, and then branching off into this other. It struck me as that definitely that he had left the science behind.
Ironically, in attributing bristlecones with such supernatural qualities, Schulman may have been closer to the truth than he realized.
In 1972, we came up and visited the Schulman Grove here, and we walked down and saw Methuselah and noticed that it had a single cone on it. So it suddenly struck us that it would be interesting to find out if a tree that ancient, a tree that was almost 5,000 years old, would be able to produce viable seedlings, viable seeds. So we made arrangement to collect the single cone, and we extracted the seed. There were 96 seeds, and we planted the seeds in our nursery. We got 100% germination, which for us was absolutely astounding. And they were all healthy seedlings also.
The genetic material contained within your seeds is perfectly preserved. Our cells are programmed to die.
There's no indication that there's a built-in senility to the tree. Methuselah could live forever. There's no indication that it can't. It's very robust sexually, and it seems to be growing healthily, although very slowly. And each year it puts on an increment of growth, both height and diameter. But it's a perfectly healthy, vigorous tree. So at least theoretically, Methuselah could live forever.
What's your secret? Is it your Spartan existence? A slow metabolism guaranteeing your place in the Never Never Land? Perhaps one day, by studying your most personal chemistry, scientists may unravel the elixir of life. In 1958, the man who became so intrigued by your longevity succumbed to human frailty.
And now, dearly beloved, let us sing Amazing Grace.
Schulman died at the age of 49.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound
memorial service was held in the shadow of your branches. Since then, other scientists working with bristlecones have died prematurely. Is this a curse, Methuselah? Revenge for Schulman's final gift to the world?